Hey guys, happy Monday. I want to say this is like a slight rant. It's a facts, but it's a slight rant because I don't know. We were just kind of like, I don't want to say like faced with the reality because we have known it for a while and we've talked about it a few times, like the inflation going up and all that stuff. But we kind of had like a heart to heart. Cody and I will get on these tangents. Like we'll see something and we'll be like, this made me think of coffee and this is why. And then we just spiral for like a solid hour and we talk about it. And then we come back to work and we're like, okay, now let's put all of those thoughts like into action, like onto paper. So
Right.
this was one of those moments. What triggered it for me? Oh,
Grocery
it
shopping?
triggered. Yeah. A guy or a person, I don't know, they were driving the vehicle. It's a guy vehicle. Okay.
Mhm.
So the vehicle was driving away from the commissary. And instead of like going home, the last exit to like go to a neighborhood or something, he didn't go. He didn't like get off on it. He went out straight through the gate. And I was following behind him, coming home from the commissary. And I was just kind of thinking, I was like, why would you come on post to get your groceries? Like, why would you come all the way over here to get your groceries if you don't live here? Like, a lot of the reason I shop at the commissary is because like I live 5 minutes down the
It's
road. So
convenient.
it's very convenient. Especially like when I'm trying to squeeze it in between, like I got 20 minutes to get my kids and hit the commissary so I don't
Yeah.
have to take them all. So I was just kind of starting to think, and I was like, I wonder if it's because of the prices. Like, I wonder if that's why. And I saw a TikTok that had me thinking, and it's had me thinking for a while, but she said there is beginning to be no middle class. It's just the rich and the poor. And I was like, tie all of that in. I called Cody and I was like,
Report.
listen, listen, like we're poor and like this makes a lot of sense. And I think like it can tie into our community. And she was like, yeah, like look at this and look at this and look at, I paid this much today. And I was like, I paid $3 for cilantro. I paid like 25 cents 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we kind of went on a tangent, but we're going to talk a little bit today about like financial insecurities that the military, like military families may be facing. My husband is very big on a budget. Like he's very,
Do you have a little one facing deployment? Well, I have the perfect resource for you. Kylie and the Deployment Wall is a short story to help children understand and cope with the absence of a loved one. As a military kid, Kylie is faced with her dad's deployment. But when her mom thinks of a way to keep them connected, Kylie finds comfort in knowing that he is never far, after all. Kylie and the Deployment Wall is available on Amazon.
what is it called?
Well,
Like
he's
anal
very,
about a
yeah,
budget.
yeah.
That's exactly what he is. He's on top of it. And it's like a great thing, right? Like I'm not saying it's a bad thing until I want to spend money, then it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, dude, back off. But he's very, very like, making sure everything aligns, making sure there's money here, making sure there's money there. And I'm very appreciative for that. But when I started talking to him, like this is kind of on our hearts. Like Cody and I want to talk about this. Like, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts? And he was like, well, I do think that, yes, the price of inflation is like high. We wanted to pay $8 for a bag of like 5 apples or whatever. And he was like, but I also think it comes with financial irresponsibility. And I was like, yes, I do agree. Like, I think there should be more education on that. Like, you're not taught that stuff in high
Mhm.
school. And I really don't know why, right? You do like home ec. I think you need
Yeah.
like the
A
world.
budget. Yeah. Budgeting class would be great.
Yeah, right. Something to teach you like the real world stuff. Like, no, you go into tax season and I freak out just because like my husband does it all, but I like freak out. Like, what happens? Like, what do I promise we're not stealing. If it's wrong, it's because we just messed it
Don't
up.
know.
But he was like, I think that some people need to learn to budget. Like, if you have this much car payment and then, this much for groceries, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I agree. Now, to an extent, though, because you can't tell me that an $8 bag of apples is not affecting the way that you're living, that it's not making an impact on like your budget.
Well, and it's unpredictable. Like that $8 bag of apples was probably like 4 last week or
Yeah.
you cannot, you, you can't budget right now, I feel, because I was in Walmart, or was I Walmart? Or no, it was Aldi. And they were saying that, like the prices are going up. I mean, in Aldi of all places where, you go to save money. And I was bagging my groceries and I heard this conversation and they said, yeah, they're going up another 10% in April. So, I always knew I'm a spender. Okay. If I got it, I spend it. My mom always makes fun of me because she says, oh, it's burning a hole in your pocket. Like you got to spend that money. And that's just the type of person I am. But I've always had like a budget where I'm like, okay, this is my grocery budget. And I set it for like what I would like to spend. But I also keep in mind, like I have like a $50 buffer, right? So I'm like, I want to spend $350, but if I spend 400, it would be okay too. You know what I mean? I want to keep it on that low side, but if I have to, I can, it's there if I need to. But right now it's like, how do you do that if, the prices are raising by 10% every month, and 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but if you spend $400 at the grocery store and $400 is your cap and it's going up 10% next month, that's adding 40% into or $40 into your budget now. So if you cannot spend more than $400 every 2 weeks, then you're going to have to be like, well, what am I cutting out? And if all you're getting are the bare minimums, then what do you do? Like I keep seeing these like TikTok ads that says like inflation's going up, but your paycheck didn't. Be a dasher, and I'm like, that's so insensitive. Like nobody, you don't want to have to go like DoorDash, Grubhub and stuff just to make it. But the sentiment there is true. The prices are going up and our paychecks are staying the same. How are we supposed to survive?
Well, I think especially because if you're not taught to be frugal, right? We were poor. So I know how to cook from scratch. Like I can take butter, flour, and, water, and I can make us a meal from it. But if you're not taught to do those things, then how do you manage? Or if we're having like I said, I cook from scratch and I still have to I'm still spending more than I want to spend at the end of my grocery shopping trip. And if you have a big family on a lower enlisted pay, and I am seeing the inflation and the extreme differences at my husband's pay for our family, like how? Like you can't tell me there's not financial insecurity there, that it's not scary to go to the grocery store and be like, I told Mark, I was like, sometimes like I'll make a meal plan for what I want, but you'll go to the store and they'll have, pork chops for $52. And I was like, well, looks like we're not eating pork chops today. We're having, look, chicken's on sale. We're eating chicken.
Yeah.
And I don't say that as like, we don't make ends meet. We make ends meet perfectly fine. But it's just that like, it's a big enough difference that it's kind of like, whoa, like how are people making ends meet? And we've had messages being like, how do you do that? Like, how are you doing this? How are you, how is there any resources for military families? And I want to say that if you're not like on your MWR or the USO page for your base, please look those up, because a lot of the times, and they're sponsored by USAA, they do like meals for families. Like they'll do, I know when we were a lower enlisted family like and we had all the kids, they gave us they nominated, like a deserving family, and they gave it to our family. So they do like free meal, like they do like random stuff. They'll get it from like wholesale or something. Yeah. So they do those for military families, and you have to sign up. But I think that's a great resource for families if you need it. If you can apply for WIC or you can apply for food stamps or whatever that you need to use. I see that all the time.
People don't, and I'm guilty of that. I didn't know what WIC was when I had my first baby. I bought formula, I think for like the first 6 months of her life. I just didn't know. I figured my husband's in the military, I can't get that. And my mom was like, you need to go get WIC. What are you like? Go get WIC. Like you'll get WIC. And so I've been on WIC for 10 years, y'all. And I am not ashamed of it. I don't care. I will swipe my WIC card. Like if I qualify for it, then I'm going to take it. Like formula is expensive. I was buying my son's formula recently while my WIC was getting like figured out from like switching from Colorado to South Carolina. And I was adding an additional $50 into my grocery budget. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine, because it's something they have to have. And luckily, like it was when he's starting to wean, so he's eating more table food than he is having a bottle right now. But could you imagine like buying formula And that's the off brand from Sam's. I was having to buy 2 containers. And so they're $25 a piece. And that's $50 every 2 weeks. And so $100 a month while he's weaning. Imagine, when you bring in a newborn home there, that's all they're doing is drinking milk. And so you could be easily spending $100 to $200 a month on formula. And if you already have like this tight grocery budget, I've been in that situation. I know how stressful it is. Like when we talked about like financial irresponsibility, my husband and I have gotten ourselves into moments where we're like, oh crap, like this was a bad choice. What are we going to do? And like I was telling Felicia, at 22, you don't think in the present, or you don't think into the future. It's like, well, I want a new car and I don't care. Like right now I can't afford like a $600 car payment. Like, and I don't care if my APR rate is high. I want this car. We can afford it right now. Let's do it. Well, then you don't think like, okay, well shit, I'm going to have babies back to back and I'm going to need to trade this car. And you just don't think about that stuff. I was telling Felicia that I had this dream of my husband. He wants a truck so bad. And, we're being responsible about it. We're like, okay, we'll check in June and see where we're at. Like if we've paid your car down enough to where we get a fair trade price and we find something that's got good rebates and all of that stuff, all of the thinking that we didn't do when we were 22, we're doing now. And so we're like looking, but we're not ready to jump the gun. We're ready to walk away if they're not going to give us what we want. Well, I had this dream that I walk up on him and he's like signing papers for a truck. And I was like, did you get the truck? And he's like, yeah, I got the truck. I was like, I'm so happy for you. What's the payment? And he's like, you're not, he's like, a lot. And I said, well, what is it? And he said, it's $120 more than we pay right now. And I got so mad at him. It was like, I ran out of the dealership and he was chasing after me. We had this big fight. Thank God it was a dream because I probably would have killed him. Like I would have needed bail money and car payment money at the end of that. But you don't think about that stuff when you're 22. And I think so many people put a lot of pressure, especially on military spouses and couples, because they're like, well, you're grown up now. Like you joined the army and you got married. Yeah. You're grown-ups now. And yes, you are, but you can't tell me that an 18-year-old right out of high school is going to get out and start making money, because a lot of us, like, what was your high school job? Did you have one?
Quick Trip.
Yeah. And mine was like Applebee's, right? So the money I was making there, I was excited for a $200 paycheck. I didn't have responsibilities. I didn't have any. I was like $200 to go to the mall. Yes, ma'am. I'm here for it. And then you join the military and you're bringing in a little bit more. Maybe like, I don't know. I wasn't with D when he was low. Like I met him as a specialist, so I know more of that pay. But I would assume it's a bit less.
I don't even know what it is right now.
I don't know. Maybe let's just say it's $1,000, right? Can you imagine being 18 years old and getting $1,000 every 2 weeks? If you don't have any responsibilities and you don't have like any kids and stuff like that, it's so easy just to be like, well, I'm going to go do whatever I want. You don't have the eagerness to learn and to teach yourself. And then bad habits can like stick with you and follow with you. And then, something like this happens, a recession, and you're trying to reel it in, but it's
right. Well, that's where I think my husband is right. Like, I think we need financial advisors, because a lot of the people coming into the military are 18 years old, like, and or they're just married at 20 something and they're trying to make a better life for them and get out of a small town. And so I think it is a great thing to instill in these people, or a resource, right? Like if you don't use this, and like, that's on you, my friend, but like, it's here if you need it. And we don't have that. It's just like, here's this loan, I'll take your money later. Like, or why not educate them? Why not educate them now on it? So I think because I think where you were, we were there. And when we had to get there, that turn was like a flipping switch for my husband. And he was like, I will never, ever again be in that spot. Like, I will never again. And since then, that's when he became anal about his budget. So like, since then, I feel like everybody has to have that kind of like, oh, I'm stuck here and I can't, how do I get out? And you figure out your way and you're like, I never want to be there again, or I'm never going to do that again. And I'm going to think it through. But I think some type of financial education would help, especially the new people coming in, the new younger spouses, I don't care if you're an older spouse, like if you have never provided for somebody on a tight budget, you don't know what it's like until you go. My husband, he'll be like, here's the bill. Like, my husband is very much our bill taker, right? He takes care of like everything on that front. And then I take care of like the home, right? I'm like, hey, I got groceries. This is how much I need. And this is what I need. Cars need gas. Like, hey, kids have this and this and this, sports and stuff. Like, so we kind of balance the budget that way, where I know like how much we need here and he knows how much we need there, or based off his paycheck. So when I go to the grocery store and I was like, this ain't gonna be enough this time. Like, we need to up our budget. Since this like recession or whatever you want to call it, inflation has happened, we've had to up our budget a few times, because especially living in Colorado, we moved to Colorado, I think paying $400 in groceries. We're way over that now. And as your kids get older, they eat so much more. Cody and I were laughing about it because we're like, our fridge is empty. It was so full. Like, she's like, my son just brought out Brussels sprouts. Like, I don't know what's happening right now in our house.
At 7 a.m. It's 7 a.m. No, yeah, he came out with a Brussels sprout. I was like, what are you doing? He was like, I'm hungry. I was like, you just ate a granola bar. He's like, I'm going to eat this broccoli. I was like, it's a Brussels sprout, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So when you're faced with that, like, I don't think you know how hard it is to go in there and be like, I'm going to go off of this plan. If you're not able to go in there like we do, we have a basic, and we even say it all the time on coffee. We're like, if we don't have a list, we're screwed, because we just buy all kinds of stuff.
I gotta leave.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, what did we do? We've done that together like twice. We went into like Sam's. Remember
Lessons
Sam's,
were learned.
Costco,
we don't do that anymore, okay? Because we were even upset with ourselves. We didn't even have to get the husbands involved on that one.
God,
we were like,
so
listen, list forever. For real, you have to. And because, and don't go grocery shopping hungry either. That'll get you too. But I'm telling you, if you can sit down and meal plan, this is what I like to do. Because listen, nobody's going to go to the grocery store and only stick to their list. If you can do that, you are a saint. You deserve like a spot in heaven today. Like you're reserved to go. Mm-hmm. But I cannot go to the grocery store and not wander. Like if I see something, so like, for example, right now at my Walmart, they have veggie straws, like the big bags, on sale for $3, and they're usually $5.94. I don't need them, but I'm gonna grab them because that is like a staple, like it's a mom staple. Mm-hmm. And for $3, even if it's not on my list, I'm gonna grab it because you can't walk away from that. But what I like to do is, if I know like, okay, if I'm sweating my budget a little bit, I will put all my groceries into the Walmart app beforehand and be like, okay, this is what I have to buy. And then I'll see where I'm at on my compared to my budget. And I can be like, okay, because when you write that list out, it can be daunting and you're like, oh my God, like I don't know if I'm going to have enough for all of this, or I don't know if I want to spend this much. What do I do? And we were kind of talking about that too, is when you meal plan, chicken, rice, and vegetables are the cheapest thing that you can buy. My husband and I lived off of these for a long time. Like when we first got married, our budget was $75 every 2 weeks for 2
Okay,
people.
but stop and think about that. Like $75 would get you nowhere right now.
Nowhere.
It would get you nowhere. Yeah. I spent $60 at Aldi's and I bought like 10 items.
Yeah, it didn't get us far then, but like we were content having chicken, rice, and vegetables. It was whatever. Like he was going to the gym. I was kind of working out. It was whatever at the time. But you want the freedom to be able to go on Pinterest and find like a good recipe. And there are times I will look up a recipe and I'm like, nope, it's got too many ingredients that I have to buy. If I don't have enough of those ingredients on there in my pantry, I'm like, I'll splurge another time. Like, this is not the week to splurge. I'm not doing it.
I think that's the great thing about having a list, is that it gives you the liberty to kind of be like, okay, I need these things at least. Like, I know I need these things. And so if you go to our Facebook, okay, or our Patreon, we share tips for how we grocery shop and like meal plan. So I don't want to give everything away because it is for our subscribers, but like these are a few hacks that we do, going through your pantry. And like, I know I'm really bad at being like, oh, I think I need some peanut butter. I'm going to like just put this on my list. And then I come home. Yeah, I come home and I have like 6 jars of freaking peanut butter. I don't even like peanut butter that much. And so just going in, and checking your pantry and your fridge and stuff like that and being like, okay, I do have this, or I do have this, or knowing exactly what's like in your freezer. Like, okay, I have all of these things that I can reuse and utilize in my menu this week, which gives me more liberty and more freedom to be like, a few more things that I need, right? Yeah. And you don't have to, my cart doesn't have to be filling over, right? Like there'll be times where I'll say under budget, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, look, I had,
Yeah.
you know,
When we
$60
would shop
left.
together, we would be like, you know, like, I don't need a big haul. So I'm just going to run in and run out. Like we wouldn't even meet up because it was just like, I only need 3 things from Costco this week. And it's not a big deal. I know we always share like, oh my gosh, like we're buying.
Are you looking to be a bigger part of the coffee community? Well, we've created the Coffee Pot for just that. Here we are sharing exclusive bonus content. You can receive early access to video podcasts, exclusive posts, live video chats, meetups for the group, book drops, meal planning, and more. Not to mention a huge community of friends. You can subscribe for $9.99 a month on our Facebook, Patreon, or our website. Visit coffeeconfessions.com to learn more.
And all of this stuff. And let me tell you, I know it seems like it's like, oh my gosh, where's like, they have just an endless income. We don't. And trust me, we're like bitching on text message and stuff to each other. Like, I can't believe I spent this much. And then we're like, look what I got at Costco. Like we're excited, but we're also like, we're feeling the pain with you guys too. This inflation and recession is crazy. And I really hope that we make it out to the other side, but we do hope that we give you guys some comfort in knowing that like, just because you see that like we're sharing the things that we get and stuff like that doesn't mean that we're not hurting with you. And also hopefully like to give you some inspiration, like make those lists, go on Pinterest. If you have a shit ton of chicken in your freezer, go on Pinterest and be like chicken dinner recipes. That's what I do. Right. I had a ton of chicken this check, so I didn't need a lot of meat. But like I was telling Felicia, this paycheck was not fair for my family for one, because we had Easter, a birthday, and spring break to buy all within this 2 weeks. And if you're a mom, you know, you need a few extra things on spring break. Birthdays are just a given. Like I guess they're not as bad when they're little, but when they get older and they request things like steak and asparagus, like then it gets a little expensive. And then Easter, I was like, how do I make the cheapest Easter meal without
our Easter is so simple
them,
this year. We're doing ham, asparagus, and potatoes. We're doing it was like basic.
Pretty much the same.
But if you guys are like, to wrap our episode up, if you guys are statistic people, go look at Blue Star Family's website. They actually put out a survey and they break down all kinds of stuff like contributors to financial stress. Like right now, they say 26% of enlisted active duty families report very low food security. So it really helps you to put in perspective. They got all the cool little pictures and everything. Yeah. They put out a survey, and I think it was like 9,000, 10,000 like families that like responded to it. And so I feel like they have a pretty good like census, on it. And so go check that out. Go read it. Go see what they have to say. Like, go see what the stats say. If you don't believe us, like, go read it for yourself and see that some of these families are struggling. And we just want you to know that
the housing one on that chart really, like, I was like, we don't really have a lot of food insecurity. I mean, I'd get a little insecure when I have to swipe my debit card to pay for it. But the housing one, for sure. When we were moving and there was like no house on post and trying to find a house and the economy, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Because everybody's asking for at BAH. And I understand there are businesses and people have to keep things running. But at the same time, BAH is supposed to cover like rent and utilities. It's not supposed to be like, we're going to cover your rent payment and then you pay the rest out of pocket. Like that makes no sense at all. Like we can't do that. Or for example, like BAS is what, like $394 or something like that for the month. And we're spending, I'll tell you, like 2 times that, 3 times that a month in groceries.
Yeah, I've not even to mention, talk about food and moving, that PCS restock. So you have to like, I got to refill all the stuff that I couldn't bring across the state line with me. Like it's crazy, guys. It really is. But we just wanted to let you know that like, we see you. Blue Star Family sees you. People are, making ways and like trying to make changes for our community. And I want you to know that you're not alone. I know the feeling. We were a kid, we used to shop at Save a Lot. And I was like, I told my mom, like, I'm never going to shop at Save a Lot ever again in my life. I hated checking if like food was expired. And she was like, that's all we could afford to do. Like, you're not like, and so now that I'm an adult, I was like, I understand, Mom. I understand why, we went to Wally World. Like, I understand why we shop all the cheapest.
I mean, we're doing the same thing. We go to Aldi. There are some people who will not shop Aldi. Listen, I used to drive by an Aldi. I'm like, I'm not shopping there. Not because I was like, oh, I'm too good for it, but it was more like, you know how like different brands, you're like, I don't want to risk it. Like, I don't want to risk buying it and I don't like it and then I'm stuck with it, right? Well, now I'm like, I told Felicia I made a mistake. She said, oh my God, what happened? I said, oh, I fucked up. She said, what happened? I said, I shopped at Walmart and before I went to Aldi and I spent more than I wanted to spend. Listen, you make mistakes and then you learn from them. We're all going to experience some type of a financial mess up at some point, and you might have to pay for it for a little bit, but it teaches you a lesson. I'm 34 and I'm still learning those lessons. I hope that I get it every year. I said, this is the year. This is the year. I'm not going to spend, and we're going to put our tax return into savings. And listen, it'll be next year. Okay. I'm working hard, but you're not going to change overnight. But if you find yourself in a situation where it's like, okay, like, how are we going to make ends meet? Please look into resources like WIC, look into SNAP. If you can get SNAP, get SNAP. I got like pandemic EBT cards in Colorado in the mail randomly because my kids were on free lunch there. And I was so excited. I was like, my husband was like, what is this? And I was like, those are food stamps. Like, are you kidding me? And if you can get it, get it. Do not feel any like shame. Don't feel any. Do what you have to do to keep your family afloat, especially right now, especially when you're paying $8 for a bag of apples, $3 for cilantro. I mean, we're putting out a video. Keep your eyes out for it. It is a comparison of TikTok or comparison of
TikTok.
It's going to be on TikTok and YouTube and all of our platforms, but it's a comparison of Walmart and the commissary. And you're going to be shocked. I'm telling you, I was shocked after I went to both. And
we're gonna do a price breakdown, guys. We're like, everybody says it all the time, like, this is cheaper, that's cheaper, you can't afford to shop here because of that, so we're breaking it down, and we're giving you 2 states because I know people are gonna be like, well, that's not here. That's not here. So we're giving the best we can. Okay, we don't live very far, but we live far. So we just wanted to bring you guys some like reassurance that like everybody's feeling it. It's not just you. You're not doing something wrong. Your family's not like, nothing, worthless, none of that, like
irresponsible.
Everybody is struggling right now, and sometimes we all just need a helping hand. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media to catch the latest.
#SpillTheCoffee.